You may have to approve that, I think.
Yep.
And I know you'll do that. And this one. This is fantastic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, obviously an early edition of the Louis B. Free Radio Show, Brain Food from the Heartland, for a very, very special reason. I have Professor David Salomon live from Stonehenge. Oh, I was going to go on and on about it, but this is just great. Professor, good morning.
Good to see you, Louis. Good to see you.
This is fantastic. I'm so thrilled that it's working. I'm so thrilled that that we're able to do it. So a couple of quick questions first. I hate to always ask you this, but for new listeners, just a little bit about your background. And
sure,
go ahead.
So I've been a professor of medieval and Renaissance English literature and culture for about 25 years. Came to Christopher Newport University in Newport News, Virginia, 5 years ago to open up their Office of Undergraduate Research and Creative Activity. I continue to do my research. My most recent book is a book on the 7 deadly sins. And I've talked with Louis about that in a lot of depth, which has been great. And we've been waiting for 3 years because of COVID to take a group of students on a study abroad trip to England and Wales. We called the course Looking for King Arthur. After we had to cancel it so many times, we started calling it Desperately Seeking King Arthur. And
that's great.
Here we are. We have finally made it. So we have been to London and Winchester, Glastonbury, Bath. Yesterday we were in Cornwall. We went to Tintagel, which is Arthur's supposed birthplace. We were in Port Isaac, and today we are at Stonehenge and Avebury, and then tomorrow we go up into Wales. So it is noon here in England, and this is the first day since we've been here when it's been not a beautiful sunny day, wouldn't you know it? But this is a perfect day to be out here at Stonehenge. This is a good weather for out here. It's about 50 degrees, and it's quite windy out here on the plain. I'm actually going to turn the camera around here so you can see the
for listeners
itself.
For listeners, we're seeing Stonehenge. I mean, there it is. Wow, live. This is fantastic. This is absolutely fantastic. Wow. Listeners, we'll have this on YouTube later, and this is just fantastic. I love this. And the professor has turned the camera so we can see Stonehenge. This is just great. Professor, a couple of quick questions for you.
Sure.
Again, you've been trying to do this for a number of years because of COVID, obviously. Oh, wow. I've got to keep talking for listeners, but the viewers are getting to see an amazing. So you've been planning it. You're able to do it, and again, you took students.
Yes, we've got a group of 20 students with me.
Wow.
And we have been traveling now we left Washington, D.C. We were supposed to leave Washington, D.C. last Monday. And thanks to a major American airline who shall remain nameless, they completely screwed up our flights and we were delayed a day. So we didn't get here until last Tuesday. And we have been to the Harry Potter studios to look at the influence of Arthur on Harry Potter, which is outside of London. Quite an amazing place. We went to the British Library and saw some of the major texts of history, really. They have a fantastic exhibit at the British Library called The Treasures of the British Library, which is always on display, and they're always kind of changing what's on display. So they have everything there from early medieval manuscripts to song lyrics of the Beatles.
Oh, wow.
It's really a wonderful, incredible building, incredible collection. While we were in London, we also kind of looked around in London and took the group to various sites in London. But London wasn't our focus because Arthur, the history of King Arthur, really is connected to the rest of England and Wales. So we went to Winchester Cathedral and Winchester Hall. And if you know the iconic round table, that is hanging in Winchester Hall. And so we were there. And then we went on to Glastonbury. We walked up the Glastonbury tour. We were at Glastonbury Abbey. We were to the town of Bath the other day and visited the Roman baths. And as I say, yesterday we were in Cornwall and we went out to Tintagel and we were in Port Isaac. And if anybody is a Doc Martin fan, that's where that is filmed. And so I got to see all the houses where they filmed Doc Martin, which was
Oh yeah, I know the people.
pretty darn
Yes,
cool.
yeah.
Yes, yes, they're currently filming the 10th series, but unfortunately they weren't filming yesterday, so didn't get to see anybody. But it was a lot of fun nonetheless, and it was an absolutely gorgeous day. And the thing about Cornwall is it's all hills. So everybody got not only their steps in, but they're also incredibly steep hills. To walk to Tintagel and then walking around in Port Isaac, it's all steep hills. And so we've all got legs, I think, like ninjas at this point. And happily today, although there's a good deal of walking out here at Stonehenge, it's relatively flat.
What can you tell us about Stonehenge? I mean, what do you think? I mean, I know there's a lot of theories.
Yeah, there's a lot of theories. It's a Neolithic site. So it dates to about probably 4,500 BCE.
Wow.
And there are multiple theories as to what's going on here. Whichever one you subscribe to works for you. But we do know that archaeologically now they've done a lot of good geologic work, and some of the stones come from Wales, and so they were brought down here. Still not entirely sure how. In fact, I think there was an episode of Mythbusters where they tried to emulate how they may have brought one theory about how they got the stones down here, but it didn't work. So their theory was wrong. It is largely a calendar. Of course, the major thing is to come out here for the summer solstice, when everything lines up and the sun actually shines through a certain spot in the rocks. In fact, I'll walk around to that side and show you that here. It's going to take me a little while, so we'll talk while I'm doing that. I'm sorry about the shaky camera. It's pretty windy out here.
No, this is incredible.
But the reason why we brought our students here is that one of the theories is that Stonehenge was built by Merlin, and that it has magical properties. Yeah. And so there is a connection to King Arthur. I'm going to flip this around for a second. Sorry about that.
No, this is great. Talking with Professor David. Okay.
So I'm walking, and so you walk around the henge. You actually come out here to Stonehenge. If nobody's ever been here, you come out here and they have a beautiful visitor center. And the last time I was out here was 20 years ago, and they've completely redone the visitor center. It's very nice now. But you'll notice how far away I am from the stones. You haven't been able to walk up to the stones since 1978. It's roped off. The only folks who are allowed out there are the Druids, who go out for the summer solstice to conduct their ceremonies. So there's a lot of course, big spiritual aspect to the site. But yeah, you're fairly far away from it as you're walking. I mean, obviously I'm walking further and further away. Where I was standing at the beginning is probably about the closest that you can get.
You were pretty close.
I'm making a loop around here, and I'm headed towards the spot where they have a marker for the solstice, and I'll show you that. But there are, it is just open pasture around here. There we've got some.
You can see the highway.
Sheep. Yep, the highway is there, and you can see the sheep there. I think. Yeah. Right here over the fence, and they're just chilling out
look at
here.
the sheep. Let me ask you. I mean, what do you? How to get those stones there? I mean, again, at that time and in history,
it's a mystery.
So I mean,
it's a mystery.
I just got an email. Someone said, ask you if you think it could be extraterrestrial or UFO.
Yes, that's one theory.
That's one of the theories, right?
Aliens. Yes.
I mean, how could you're talking about all those years ago, moving stones that have to weigh I don't know.
Tons,
Tons,
tons. Yeah,
literally tons. And then, and
yes,
stacking and stacking. I
and
mean,
stacking them. Yeah,
having them
and
upright.
there's a special way that they've been stacked. Actually, there's a kind of a dowel at the top of them that holds those cross pieces on. Not that they would fall off. There is one stone, and I'm not positive which one it is, or I pointed out to you, but there is one stone which actually did fall over. I think it was in 1900. I believe there was either some kind of really bad storm out here, or possibly some sort of earthquake, and one of the stones actually fell over. But that's the only one that I know of. There's some more.
Oh, I see where it's roped off. I see where you're roped off pretty far away.
Yeah, I'm walking.
I see it now.
They do have other areas out here. This is all owned by the English Heritage. It's a very large, expansive site, and you can do walks out in the fields. There are paths. Most people are not doing that today because it's just too nasty out here at the moment. But you can see
it's just stunning. It's incredible, Professor.
It's a fairly sizable walk around here. So
yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. Again, when I look at that and you think about what those stones weighed and how could it, I mean, I get, I get why some people would say UFOs or extraterrestrials or whatever, because how would you, how could they possibly, doing that today would be a challenge with the machinery. Well, I mean, obviously they could do it with the machinery today, but thinking about all of those years ago, how could that?
It must have been some sort of pulley system or the like. I mean, there are more theories about Stonehenge than we could ever count. And there have been so many books written about it, and they're all interesting. And I suppose what you decide about how you're going to think about this site becomes a matter of personal preference, because I'm not sure that any of the questions have been completely settled at this point. Here's a sheep who just had his little lunch snack.
Oh, sheep.
Yeah.
That I mean, it's just, again, it's beautiful there, and just absolutely, Stonehenge is absolutely stunning. What kind of response are you getting from your students?
They're loving
the whole
it.
trip.
They're
For the whole trip.
Yeah, they're having a great time. I at least that's what they've told us. It's they really have enjoyed every place that we've been. And as I say, tomorrow we go up into Wales, which is, for my money, the most incredible place on earth.
Tell us why, Professor.
Well, Wales is in many ways really where the Arthur story begins, because of the history of the island, the England, and the way that the original peoples were pushed towards the west when they were invaded. Really, the stories of King Arthur, the oldest stories of King Arthur, really do come from Welsh literature. And there are plenty of sites in Wales that are connected to King Arthur and have been suggested as places that are connected to Arthur. We will start tomorrow in a small town called Caerleon, which is near Newport, which has in it an old Roman bath, which was only discovered about 30 years ago. And there's also a Roman amphitheater there, which has been suggested by one text as being possibly Camelot. So we will be there, and there's a Roman barracks there. It's an old Roman city. But that Roman amphitheater, I believe it's Geoffrey of Monmouth, suggested that could have been Camelot. This is the marker for
Midsummer Sunrise.
Sunrise.
Yeah, you're showing on the for listeners a Midsummer
and
Sunrise.
Midwinter sunset.
Yeah, it's like an arrow.
And then this goes up to the hedge. So when the sun comes up, it comes up between those stones off in the distance, and it lines up.
Wow. Again, all the theories, we could spend hours and hours talking about all the theories, but it's absolutely stunning. I want to ask you, what is it? And again, we could probably spend hours or days or weeks maybe talking about it. What is the intrigue for you with King Arthur?
Well, I mean, I've always been interested in the King Arthur story. My wife is actually the Arthurian scholar. I am not. I have taught Arthurian literature. I'm interested in Arthur because of the quest. The quest is such an important part of all the King Arthur stories, and I'm not only talking about the quest for the Holy Grail, which is really what centers around all of the tales, but really about our lives as a quest, as a spiritual quest. We're looking for something, and in many ways, what becomes more important, of course, in any quest is the process and not the product. It's not as important that you find it as it is what you discover along the way. And I think that's something that we can learn about, just our lives, right? I mean, instead of always going for the brass ring, as they say, instead enjoying the process of getting there. One of the things that I said to students when we were at one of the sites the other day, one of the first ones we were at, they all walked in and they were oohing and ahhing, and all of a sudden all the phones, of course, came out. And I said, take pictures, but also experience being here.
Yeah, yeah.
And so many people today don't do that. They go to these sites and all they do is they're trying to record the fact that they were there.
All the self. Yeah. And that's great but you're missing things if you're always taking the selfies, I mean, or whatever.
You have to enjoy the experience of being there. I mean, I just waiting for you just sat on a bench here for 15 minutes, just sitting here. And I mean, it was great. I mean, especially on trips like this, you're sort of always on the move. And, so you sort of do have to take some time just to build in some time just to sit and really take in where you are. I mean, I'm going to do a 360 here from the stones so you can see what the landscape looks like.
It's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And very honestly, I like that kind of, the gray sky. I don't mind it when it's sunny, but I kind of like that. Day. I mean, I think that looks great with,
Yeah. I mean, this is good Stonehenge weather, actually. Being out here when it's sunny has its benefits, but this isn't bad, and it's a drizzly gray day. I mean, it certainly is chilly out here, that's for sure.
But it's just absolutely beautiful. I've got to ask you, you've been to a pub, certainly?
Oh, yes.
A number of them.
I've been to a pub and I've had three Cornish pasties already.
Yeah.
And pasties are the easiest thing to compare to a pasty is for Americans is a hot pot. Although I think an Englishman would probably slap you if you said that. But Cornish pasties are my favorite thing, and I've already had 3 different ones. So, and they make them vegan and veg. So
they've got them vegan there. Wow, they've got them vegan there. I mean,
the food choices here are for a vegetarian and a vegan are vast.
Yeah.
It is not like in the States. No matter where you go, what place you walk into, there's always a veg or a vegan option on the menu. Even the fish and chip place that we went the other day with my colleague, she wanted to get fish and chips, had some meatless options on the menu.
That's fantastic. And again, not to belabor this because your time is limited, but I read about that in a lot of the newsletters I get, and people I've had on the show from the UK and talk about how everywhere in the grocery store, I mean, just the options are incredible. And I appreciate you sharing that. Marmite, have you had anything with Marmite?
Oh, it's disgusting. I wouldn't try that. I'll bring some back for you. Oh, you've got some.
Well, this is an empty jar. It's so hard to. It's hard to find. They've got these.
Like it?
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Louis. All right, now I know what I'm bringing back for you.
The problem is that someone was able to get me the bigger jar. They've got these little tiny jars that are like $7.99 for But they, what I've learned, that people either love it or hate it. There's not. I've never heard anybody say, I don't mind it once in a while. Someone close to me just absolutely hates it, doesn't even like the smell of it. I can,
Not a fan.
I roast
No,
potato. I
that-
mean, yeah,
They have it. They have it in little, like the small peanut butter size containers at breakfast in the morning. Because some people put it on toast. And
yeah. I love it on toast with some smashed
all right,
avocado.
I'll
No,
have to, I'll have to get you some.
no,
I'll
no,
have to
you
get
don't
you
have to
some.
get me. This is a treat enough, Professor Solomon. This is a treat enough. Seeing you there and having you show. I was so glad because we were concerned about signal, this and that, and how it was going to work out. But this
Yes,
has
and it
just been,
worked.
yeah, this
I
has
didn't
been,
know if we'd get a signal out here, but it's been pretty good. So
yeah, this has been a joy. So you're back in the States.
next Tuesday.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
And then maybe we'll make a time where we can kind of talk about the trip and get you back on.
That would be great.
Talk
I'd
about
love
this. This is, I keep saying it, I'm so thrilled, honestly, so thrilled that this worked out. And I
I'm glad to.
appreciate you, what you do professionally. I appreciate you as a friend personally. I love this. I love this. I'm glad it worked.
Well, I'm glad it worked as well. I'm glad that we were able to show you where I am and
There you are.
and have you see. I'm trying to flip this
Yeah, one
around.
more
There we
shot of
go.
Stonehenge. Yeah, there it is. Wow. Absolutely stunning. Absolutely incredible. Incredible. Oh, that's wonderful. Professor David Salomon,
Hey,
thank you.
Louis.
This has been great. I love this. Thank
I'll
you,
talk
my
to you
friend.
soon. It was good seeing you again.
Thank you, my friend. So very much. Professor David Salomon live from Stonehenge. I mean, how cool is that, right? It's